just the other way around. Okay. Everybody can hear me? Cool. Just a short announcement before we start with the actual talk. It has been marked wrong in the schedule. It should have been red instead of green because it's not about integrating grid elements, so building grid elements like forging grid elements. It's about money, it's about crowdfunding, it's about how different concepts of paid or unpaid work came up to grid elements. So if you expected some TypeScript or stuff like that I usually do in my talks, this will not happen today. So you still have the chance to go to another talk if you expected that. Okay, the crowd is leaving, so no crowdfunding. Okay. I think we got it now. So can we start with the cameras? Everything okay? Cool. So welcome everybody to my talk, Forging Grid Elements. It's about crowdfunding extension development, and I just want to give you a short agenda what we are going to do. I will talk about the User Experience Week that Ben already mentioned in his talk before. I will give you some insight to the project where we initially started developing grid elements, the grid elements history, how it developed after we started in that project, and how it came to the crowdfunding of Grid Elements 2.0. And you can have a question and answer hashtag with Grid Elements on Twitter. Actually, it was meant that way. We planned to be 2 people, but Rocco was not able to get here because his son was ill at night and he wasn't able to sleep, so he decided to not go by car. And so I have to do it alone, and we can't answer stuff on Twitter directly, but you can still send something with a hashtag or maybe to the email address that will be in the other slide, or maybe you can just ask your questions or add issues on our Forge project. So this is the agenda. My name is Joe Hasenow, for those who don't know me. Actually, I'm the guy who does all the TypeScript talks on dev days and cons. I'm more a front-end developer than a real PHP guy. So actually, in our jobs, we do lots of jQuery, we do lots of TypeScript. This is why I came to Type3, because when I came to Type3 in 2002, I wasn't able to code anything in PHP. So TypeScript was a good example why I wanted to get there, and this is something which happened in the Grid Elements as well. My company is a Cybercraft Media Manufacturing. It's a small company in the Upper Harz Mountains in northern Germany. This is where the code sprint that we are planning will happening as well, and it's a very nice place to be. And you can get me at Bunnyfield, which is just a translation of my last name in English, and on Twitter, or you can just send me an email if you have some questions that you don't want to post on Twitter. Rocco would have been here. He's coming from Paving Ways. He's the guy who did all the XJS stuff in Grid Elements, and he's more the interface guy. He's developing games for other companies, and he's working with me in the T3CON project. And he did all the slides, actually. So this is the origin of Grid Elements. Many of you might know what the User Experience Week was. There might be people who don't know. It was a really huge code sprint, kind of code sprint, or not just a code sprint, but just a get-together of different people. There were developers, managers, designers, 30 hand-picked volunteers, because there were many people applying for the jobs that were available, but only 30 places were available, and we had to get at least teams with a manager, a designer, and developers together. It happened in November 2009 for 7 days in one castle, in a very lonely place, so that there's nothing that can disturb you while doing all the work. You don't go out in the evening and go to the clubs or bars and stuff like that. So we can focus on the stuff we had to do there. Is there actually anybody around who was at this user experience week? I remember you were there, yeah? Nobody else? Okay. We had about 20,000 euros of budget for this project, but just for the supplemental stuff, so nobody was actually paid. Everybody who went there did it either for free, when he was a freelancer, or because he was paid by his company and they sent him there, or her there, because there were even some girls available there, even though we just have 2% in the community. And everything together was 100% creativity. And I've seen a talk, maybe I'm a bit too loud. I just move it down a bit. Okay. I've seen a talk which said, control kills creativity. I don't know at which camp it was happening, but I think this is a good title, because when you want to have such an event where you have all these people just thinking about stuff, how we could improve the usability of Typo 3, or just the usability of interfaces and stuff like that, what you don't want is control. You want to have people to have a free mind. They want to have all their visions just recognized, and then you can decide which way you want to go during this sprint and try to experiment with this stuff, which is very important. And the outcome of this user experience week was quite impressive. I just can speak for my team, which was working on different features. We were 5 people, 1 designer, 1 core developer, 1 project manager, and the rest were non-core developers. We did the backend search feature, which is already implemented in the Typo 3 core now. We did the TCE form refactoring. We did the drag and drop feature, which is not yet implemented into the core, still in 2012. And we did the backend layouts, which was available in Typo 3 version 4.5. And this was just lighting a very small fire. We were able to produce actually code which was really working during that week. And then we came to the next step. We had the results of the user experience week. The problem we got is most of the people were very excited about XJS and implementing XJS features, XJS-based page tree, or the extension manager and stuff like that. And everybody was so excited that they just forgot about a real plan. And the problem, the result was we had a mixed blessing, because we had an XJS-ified backend, which can be an improved usability, but we had a horrible performance in some cases. The page tree was just a mess and stuff like that, because this is just the outcome of the user experience week. It was not yet implemented into the core. Just the first experiments, and we found out there were huge problems still. But everybody focused on this XJS stuff and tried to get it into the core somehow, because they really wanted to get it in. And this is why a missing plan gives undesirable results, because what we got is version 4.4. We had the XJS-ified page tree, we had the new backend design, but the performance was still horrible for the people that we were aiming for. When you're using 4.4 for a small website, it's no big deal, you can do it. And the page tree is working fine. But when you are working with a 4.4 page tree in a 12,000 page tree in an enterprise intranet, for example, you will just block the whole working process in the backend when you have about 200 editors working on it. So we had huge problems. We bought with this user experience week, but on the other hand, we had the possibility to get more input from other people like the XJS community. And we had the other problem that the major features that we wanted to implement, for example, drag and drop and a new backend layout and stuff like that, was still pending because everybody was focused on this XJS thing. And this is why, in my opinion, missing control kills consistency. And where you have to put in this control is that you stop people from just being creative and being excited about new features, and you have to have a real plan. So the next step we got is version 4.5 in January 2011, which is more than a year after the User Experience Week. At that time, we had the backend layouts implemented. We had the TCE form refactoring implemented from our team, but it was proactively done by non-core developers because the core was still focusing on some other stuff. So the outcome of the User Experience Week was not really communicated as a real outcome, and nobody knew about that stuff, and nobody did care about that because the team was not really communicating with the core. The only core developer we had at that time was not really active in the core anymore, and this is why I said we had some problems in the last talk with Ben. We had some problems having a good communication between non-core developers and core developers to get stuff in. So we got it in. It's already in 4.5. It's available. You have this new backend layout feature. You have the TCE form refactoring implemented. And this shows taking control helps to accomplish things. So there must be somebody who says, OK, let's go this way now, and let's do it now this way. And then there might be other people following. Now it's August 2011. At that time, I was working in another project that I will show in the next slides at the German Telekom. I got a request by the T3A. Actually, it was Ben and some other people who just called me and wanted to know if there is something happening around this backend layout feature that we already implemented because the drag and drop was still not available. And we had no chance to do the backend layout within content elements. It was just available for pages. You had this backend layout in the page records available, but you were not able to lay out content elements the way Template Voila does. And exactly at the same day when Ben called me, I had a request by a German Telekom where I've been working at that time. And the project manager asked me if it would be possible when we do an upgrade to 4.5 to replace Template Voila completely with something different that we had to develop for this purpose. And I said, OK, I had a request from the T3A as well. Maybe we can put it together, and maybe we can have some effort that we can publish it to the TR before we just do any code. We just make a project out of it, and then we can work together with the people of the core team, or maybe some other people as well, to just get this extension. We didn't know the name at that time already, and he just agreed to do that. So even in larger projects where you have larger budgets, it can be possible to convince the people who are paying the money actually to just contribute the stuff without asking if they will get something back for it, or if somebody else will be paying for it, or if there might be there are some other companies using it as well. They just said, OK, it's cool, we can do that. There might be some feedback by the security team, and it could be important for us because they might know better than you do, which is why we just did it. So the grid elements development starts. Now we come to the Telekom project itself, and it's called WINS. WINS is short for the German, meaning it's Knowledge and Information System. And it started in 2008. It's a Type 3-based Internet information system that is used by lots of call centers. When you call, for example, Telekom to get some information about the new iPhone, and if it would be possible to get it together with the new contract, the call center agent will use this system to give you the information. So you can just imagine how many agents will be there, and how many users we got, and how many information we have to deliver. It's one of the so-called top 60 apps in the German Telekom system. Top 60 means you have to deliver stuff in a certain process. You have to make sure that you are into some security reviews and stuff like that. And it's much more complex to get stuff in there. So when you do an update, you have to make sure it will last for a long time, and you can really rely on the system, which is why we went for 4.5 and not 4.6, which was in a better state at that time. And 4.5 was a long-term support system, so we said, okay, this should be the way to go. It's a highly customized system. We have our own model view controller framework. It has been started just at the same time XBase has been started. So it's more performance-oriented and not just meant to be a transition to the flow core, what XBase actually was. So this is just a model view controller framework that is customized for the type telecom needs. And all the extensions we are using are based on this model view controller framework, but still have to work, or had to work, together with TV. Some numbers about this system. We have about 12,000 pages in the page tree, which is the current state. Actually, before we migrated the system, there were much more pages because we just had to find out about deleted stuff or hidden stuff they never used anymore, and we just had to clean up the page tree. We had about 200,000 content elements left. It was about 2 times the amount when we started because we had some problems with the TV handling deleting content elements. We have about 90,000 front-end users in call centers and shops that are using the system for the information, and 200 editors working in the back end, which is why the page tree and the page tree performance is very important for us, because when the page tree, for example, is working together with backend ACL or stuff like that, where you have comma-separated values to get the user information in, you can run into serious problems. For example, when there is a non-admin user who is logging into the system and had a large page tree open with a lot of different levels, he can just stop the system for about 5 minutes and nobody's able to work on it anymore. Which is not a problem of the hardware, but a problem of a huge number of requests, which is going to be handled in the system. We have 60 custom extensions based on this model view controller framework. And we have about 30 core patches still left in 4.5 because we have to make sure that some things are just handled with performance in mind and not the way the core does it. Actually, it is okay how the core does it, but the problem is we have to just focus on performance, and therefore we can just kick some other stuff that we don't have to take care of. And this is why we have some core patches in there. Currently, we are 6 developers. When we started with the project, there were even more, but now, because we achieved what we had to do at that time, the team is a bit smaller. In the past, Wins was based on Type 3.4.3. It has been started on Templar Voila, basically because the guy who started it didn't know better. Because actually, when you want to do systems like that with large page trees, with lots of content elements, with lots of uncached contents, you don't want to go for Templar Voila anyway. And there was no other reason, because actually, when you use Templar Voila, you want to map stuff, you want to have HTML templates that you can easily integrate, which is not the case in this team, because we get a design, we can just do TypeScript stuff, everybody's able to do that. We just don't need this mapping feature. We just need some structured content in the back end, and this is why TV was not a good choice in this case. We have about 5 TV page types. We had about 30 FCEs, were not just real FCEs with new content fields or new structures where you can add in content like combinations of images or a header or a text. Just structuring, for example, a 4-column FCE, a 3-column FCE, an accordion FCE, and stuff like that. And we had a growing number of users from 40K to 100K plus, which is the current state. And we had huge performance issues anyway, and we would have had more performance issues when going to the 4.5 core. And this is the technical background, why we didn't like template voila, we have XML-based relations. You have to go to the database, get the XML out, get the comma-separated values out to just get the information which element is connected to the other. So you're not able to do purely SQL-based selections of parent elements and their children, which is very important for our system. And this is why it's a performance killer. When you have cached content, it's no big deal. You can just do it once. It can take, for example, 20 seconds to just build up the page. It's no problem. And it's in the cache, and you can get it. But in this case, we have the problem that we are not caching too many things, and we have to introduce our own caches based on a completely different approach. And we have to get these elements together on a SQL-based solution. And we have inconsistent references. There were references to elements that didn't exist anymore. There were references to elements that were hidden, unused on other pages. So it was not really possible to maintain the system for the editors as well. And we had a huge overhead of unused elements because the editors just didn't get it that when you delete an element, it's just not deleted in TV. It's just moved away to the unused element section. It's still on the page. And when you want to select stuff on that page, you have to still get it from all the elements that would have been available for this PID. So what we did in the Grid Elements project is we upgraded from 4.3 to 4.5. We replaced TV page types with the backend layouts that were already available with the Typo 3.4.5 core. We replaced FCEs with a new Grid Elements extension because we didn't need the mapping. We just made the structure stuff and the drag and drop stuff. This was enough for the project. We replaced HTML templates with TypoScript templates, and we had purely SQL-based relations, even with sorting and call post values available so that you can easily find out whether an element really is. Just by getting the element. The element knows about its parent and about its position in the parent element. And this was improving the performance a lot. And as you can see, the fire is getting better, even though the paid development ends after 3 months. We had 2 developers working on that project, which was Rocco and me. And the 30,000 euros were not spent for the whole project. It was just the part spent for the Grid Elements development. The overall budget was much larger because there were other people involved due to the telecom processes. We have admins that are in the same budget, and we have other processes that have to be paid in this case. But roughly 30,000 euros were spent on the initial development of Grid Elements. And still, it was freely available for everybody else in the TER without further discussion. And Grid Elements 1.3.12 was publicly available, or is publicly available now, because actually at that time it was not 1.3.12, but maybe 1.2 or 1.1. We had feedback from the security team and fixed some security holes in one of the early versions. I think Georg, who's sitting there, did some of this stuff. We had community improvements by people who just joined the team and said, okay, this is a cool feature, this is a cool extension, I want to do something about that. Arno Dudek, for example, is one of these guys who contributed a lot of code and did a lot of code cleanup because we didn't care so much about clean code, we just wanted to get it working. And the team grew, and we had a Forge project, and it shows making code available for free pays back. And this is something you should tell your customers when they say, I don't want you to publish my extension in the TER because then everybody else can use it. This is a good thing because when everybody else is using it, everybody else will be able to improve it. Everybody else will be able to find security holes and fix them. And you get a lot of stuff back that you don't have to pay for. So even when you just see it from a commercial point of view, it still pays back. Six months later, we had a problem because actually Grid Elements was planned as an official core extension. It was set up as a core project for 4.6 actually, but we were aware that we would not make it 246, so we just aimed for 47. But there were no grid elements features in 47 when it came to the feature freeze, due to several reasons. Well, there was a lack of communication between the release manager and myself, so this is something I'm guilty of as well. There was a lack of manpower in the core team. They just were able to finish the stuff they wanted to do, and then they said, oh, no, we don't have the time now to just include this grid element stuff. And on the other hand, there were some other reasons, because some of the core team members said the code is not clean enough to just even let it into the core. I have to admit, this is not really clean code, but it's working. So it could have been done together to make it clean and to get it in, but the manpower was not there. So it shows voluntary work alone does not get the job done, because you have a limited amount of voluntary working time, and you have to make sure that the most important things get into the core, and this was not the most important thing, but still we would have liked to get it in. Around the same time, in April 2012, we were at the Developer Days in Munich. This was very exciting because we had a fully crowded one-day grid element session where we presented, in the first part of the session, we presented the functionality, because some of the people who attended there didn't know what it does and what they could do with it. We presented some of the elements we created for the telecom project and the type of script that we used for it, so that they have some example how it will be working. In the second part of this one-day session, we just asked the people what they would like to get in on features, or if they would like to have things done in a different way, because since it's now available in the TR, we don't have to take care of telecom that much anymore. Because if we want to do something the telecom way, then we can still try to manage that and try to get it in. But on the other hand, we can implement features that we really don't need at telecom, and so it would be interesting to just ask the users what would be a good idea. So asking your users about their needs helps to get a roadmap, which we have now. But just having the roadmap is not enough. So we know where to go now, we know which features we should implement, but still we have the feature freeze of T3CON12DE and still no grid elements features in there. Because the focus of the core team was on core cleanup and on completely different things to do. And there are still lots of features pending on the grid elements tracker that we didn't even solve, because we didn't have the time to do that because there are just 2 or 3 active people around, and they had a small amount of time available to do things. And so we had a lack of manpower in both teams. We still had the roadmap, we still had the goal, but we didn't reach it. I really would have liked to get it into the core of 6.0, but maybe now we will manage to get it into the next version. So still, voluntary work alone does not get the job done. So what we need is a new approach. And the new approach is grid elements goes crowdfunding. This is just an idea I had a few months ago when I was at Kickstarter and just watched some projects getting millions and millions of dollars for something which was, in my opinion, worth nothing. But they were just able to activate a huge community of people and to just make them interested in their product. And they said, okay, this is a cool idea, I will just give you $5. And if you find enough people who do that, you will get $1 million. So it's not a big deal to do that if you have a platform to just get these people involved. And this is a thing why we just decided to go a completely different way and not use the Type 3 association or Type 3 org or something else for this communication. Because when you go to that place, you only get the people who are already involved in that process, who are already members of the T3A or already members of the community, who already know about that stuff, or maybe already donated money for the project, and they say, okay, it's nice that you have these features, but I already gave the money, please apply for a budget, and maybe you get it. So we said we have to go a completely different way, and we had a project created on Start Next with this, it's just the same thing like Kickstarter, but in Germany. It's a lot smaller. They have an amount of 1.5 million euros for all the projects that they did. And on Kickstarter, you can find projects that have 2 times that money for just one project. But they are working on it, and they do a really good job. And this is why we went there. The other thing is we had to go there because Kickstarter didn't want us, because we are now no US citizens. You have to be US citizen to start a Kickstarter project. Don't know why. There might be legal reasons or stuff like that. So we went for a German project because we are a German company, and so we have no legal problems when we just collect money. The starting phase of this project began on September 27th. We had 100 plus fans within just 1 day. Currently, we are about 128 fans. And a stunning feedback, not just on Kickstarter, on StartNext itself, but on Facebook, on Twitter, and on all the other channels. Just some people said, I don't like that at all, but most of the people were really excited. And this shows sometimes new concepts are necessary to succeed. Our goals for this project are, we want to get paid development because we have to pay somebody to get things done. Because the voluntary work didn't work out, the partly sponsored work didn't work out to get all these features in that we really would like to see in the core. So we want to pay developers during a code sprint in January 2013. Actually, they have to work for about the month. They should start preparing stuff in the week before. Then they do the code sprint of up to 9 days. They are free to decide if they want to do all the 9 days, or we will start on Saturday and we will go to the next Sunday. At least we have the locations booked for this period. And they have to prepare stuff before, and they have to deliver stuff after that until the deadline of it's 31st of January, where we want to have the feature freeze. And then we still can do some bug fixing and stuff like that. We have a clearly defined roadmap and a clearly defined deadline, which is something completely new to Typo 3 development. As I saw with the other projects, they said, okay, we might get a roadmap, we might get a deadline, but we don't know if there will be somebody available. We want to make sure that the sponsors will get all the stuff that they really paid for. And the goal is the release of Grid Elements 2.0 for Typo 3 CMS 6.1. And maybe, but not mandatory, a possible integration. I already discussed that with some core team members, with Oliver Harder and Benny Mack, who said we want to get at least some of the features in the core, and the rest may stay in an extension. For example, drag and drop is something which is interesting for the core as such, and maybe other features as well, but the rest might be not that interesting, or maybe even breaking stuff for the Templar Voila users. So we still have to take care of them, that stuff will be running for them. So we will make the rest available as an extension. And what I wanted to say is taking control and providing payments helps to get things done in time and according to goals. This is something, yeah, I have to admit, maybe it will not work out. This is something I promise now, but maybe it will not work out because it depends on two different kind of people. The people who will put in the money and the people who will deliver the code, because we are still looking for coders to get things done. The sponsoring concept says we have sponsors who can donate for a reward. The reward is representing a feature. Mostly, there are some rewards which are just there to get you to give you a value to select from, because some people didn't get the process of StartNext right. The funding goal has to be reached completely. The current funding goal is 30,000 euros, because we want to pay people for a relatively long time, and we have up to 9 developers, and you can just calculate stuff. It's still cheap when we get 9 developers for this amount of money. But this is the minimum we have to reach. If we don't get it, we don't get anything. If we get more, it's cool, so you can do some kind of overfunding, and then we can do more work on certain features. And if it doesn't work, no sponsor has to pay anything. Sponsored features will be part of a contract and implemented until deadline. Means we as a starter, my company as a starter, is the contractor, and every sponsor who is booking such a reward has a legal contract with my company. So when we don't deliver the feature, you will get the money back. StartNext is just there to collect the money and to make sure we will only get it when we reach the funding goal. This will lead to more transparency and to more confidence, I think, because then the people can say, okay, if it doesn't work out, I have the option to get my money back, which is not possible when you just give it to the T3A or to another non-profit organization. Because in that case, due to legal stuff in Germany, the non-profit organizations are not allowed to connect the money to a certain goal that has to be reached. So when somebody donates money to a non-profit organization and says, I don't want you to give it to the flow people, but just to the Type 3 CMS people, this is not allowed. But in this case, it is allowed. So you can buy a certain feature, you can make sure it will be implemented, and if it's not, you can get your money back. So sponsors don't have to buy a pig in a poke. Conclusion is, we have to first listen to the users, which we did a bit late in this case, because the user experience week happened without listening to the users. Of course, we are users ourselves, but we are not just users. We are developers, and we know the system very well. But we should listen to our users before, and this was something which happened during the developer days. Then you can add uncontrolled creativity like we did at the user experience week. You can add voluntary work to get things like the user experience week and to get an outcome of that. You can add sponsors to enable these volunteers without paying their work. It's not always necessary to pay people, but sometimes it is because you want to get control to get things done, and then you will add crowd-funded work to enable this control. And the crowd-funded work is another good thing because everybody can pay as much as he likes or as he's able to afford. So even if you just pay €5, you can do something to do the development, but in this case you can't buy a certain feature, but you can still donate for the project and for the overall stuff that has to be done. So the result, hopefully, will be a feature-complete and usable piece of software for a reasonable price. And this is what I had to say. Any questions? You can send them if you don't want to ask them now, but you can do that now if you like.
How much time left?
Just wait for the mic.
How much time left, and how much money do you already raised?
We started with a funding phase because we needed 100 fans to go into the funding phase. So the funding phase started on the 1st of October, and we already got, the last time I looked at the pages, was about €850. So we have one larger amount, which was donated by Boris, who gave us €500, and there were other people who just said, okay, this is a cool thing, just go on, I will give you 20, 10, €50. And this is how crowdfunding works. And the time left is we have exactly New Year's Day. We will know if we will go into the code sprint or not. This is the last time we will know. But I think when we are going to make it, we will know before. So I imagine in December it could be clear if we will reach that goal or not. Other questions? No questions? Well, cool. So everybody understood the concept, so now you can go and donate.
As far as I can see, there is something going on like integrating drag and drop to the page module now for 6.0. Mm-hmm. I saw it at Gerrit. I'm not sure how this conflicts with your efforts, or is that somehow coordinated?
Of course it's coordinated because Oliver is sitting there. I had a talk today, and so that we won't do stuff during this code sprint or before that will be against the stuff which is done in the core team, so we will work together. It might be even possible that we can get a core developer into the code sprint, because even core developers can be paid for their job. Somebody said, no, it should be, we might use another pod for that. But I said, okay, when you come to the code sprint and when you are one of the developers, we have planned to be there, we will pay for you. So it's no big deal. If there's any core developer who is able to do the job, do the fix stuff, or maybe just implement features, you're welcome.
Okay, and another question is, you said that the rendering will be done, or is done in the current version with TypoScript. So how will we be able to use it in conjunction with fluid templating?
There's a fluid element in TypoScript that you can use. And what we are going to do is, it's one of the features that you can buy as a reward in the Start Next list, is called enabling fluid rendering in a better way, so that we can provide more content that you can use in your fluid template then. But actually, we don't want to do it the whole stuff in fluid, but just give you the option to go for a fluid template element in TypoScript. But maybe we will change that if the feature request goes into another direction. Okay. So you can do that.
Yeah, sorry for being here too late, and I'm not sure whether you already mentioned the question that I had to you personally this day is about that grid elements is at many places on the web seen as the successor of Templar Voila, or a better alternative to Templar Voila. And I just wanted to point out that concerning the FCEs, the flexible content elements, that this is not part of the grid elements concept, so we probably need another solution for that if you want to have a good mapping on that. Maybe you want to say something on that yourself.
Mapping is definitely no part of grid elements, yeah, because actually Telecom didn't need that, because we have integrators there who don't need the mapping. So maybe we can just implement another mapping solution, but the FCE stuff is handled a bit different in grid elements. Many of the people who are using grid elements now are just using them the same way they did with TV before. They just throw in some flex form into the flex form field of the record and use exactly the same flex forms they did actually use in Templar Voila before, so there's no change for them. They still have the content in the XML structure. They have no option to get it out by pure SQL. So actually, the flex form field we have in the grid elements is just meant to be a container for example, a checkbox or a select box to change a certain CSS class or to activate some JavaScript feature that you want to use together with this grid element. But the structure and the content should be put into the columns of this grid that you're creating. So maybe this is something we have to promote a bit more prominently in the manual or in the issue tracker or somewhere else. Maybe we can do some tutorials. We even have to do some tutorials because already some guy bought this feature where you can get a DVD with tutorials on it. And there will be short versions on YouTube, which is now made sure. We have to do it now but maybe there will be other people just buying the same reward, so we will have to do it in a better way than we might do it now.
I didn't check the feature list, sorry, but first question is, will you spend any time into doing the new grid elements backward compatible? So we could use it on 4.5?
Of course.
You will keep it backward compatible?
The plan currently is to have a new version before we go into the code sprint for the 4, 5, 6, and 7 branch, so that you can use a bug fixed and feature improved version for now. I think it will be around end of November, maybe December, when this new version will be out. It's 1.4 or something like that. And then we will have a completely different version, which will be created for 6.0 or 6.1. But still, we will try to get these features into the other version. We still have to make sure if we will go for a completely different extension key so that we will have different repositories and stuff like that, or maybe go for another solution, which is to trick the TER just by changing the version numbers when you upload a new version, so that we could have 1.5 and 2.0 as well. So I don't know what we are going to do yet, but we will do something like that.
And second question, just short, what about workspaces?
It's one of the features you can buy on the list.
Okay.
Because actually Telecom is
the most expensive one.
No, it's not very expensive because it's not that much work to do. We have more expensive features like, for example, drag and drop via the page tree. where you can drag an element, go to the page tree, and an overlay of the page that you're going to move it in will open, and you can drop it into that page and will be returned to the original page, stuff like that, which is much more complex. Just to make it workspace aware will not be a big deal, but we didn't have to do it because the original contractor didn't need that because they are not using workspaces on multi-language stuff.
Actually, I don't want to question something. I just want to tell you why we did it, to support and donate, actually. Yeah, we came up with a huge project using TemplaVola, which uses approximately 40 to 50 multi-sites, which uses content which is linked across the, several sites, and we came up with several problems. And that was the point where we took a look at grid elements as an alternative. So if you want to have an alternative to TemplaVola, then I think you should support this project as well. And I think it's a great approach, and yeah, go ahead and donate.
Thanks. Yeah, just to repeat that, what Oliver said, it's not a real replacement for TemplaVola when you come from the mapping point of view. You are not able to map any HTML templates into your templating with grid elements. It's not possible. But it will be a replacement when you just need structured views of your content in the back end, when you just need drag and drop, when you want to, for example, use references in a more sophisticated way. This is already available, and this is running smoothly, and you can work with it. There are some smaller bugs with 4.7. We have to still fix them. Then it's already working. And for the mapping, we have, for example, we took a look at the JETS extension. The problem is that it's about 2 years old in the Forge project. I don't know if there is still work in progress, maybe on other channels. And maybe we can talk about that because, as far as I remember, it's a French project. And maybe we can do something with the mapping then as well, but this will not be part of grid elements and not be part of this project.
Do you run fast also? Can you run fast? You got a I love IE6 on your t-shirt. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, great presentation. It's very, very good to see some projects going on like this. And I also wanted to mention another project that is trying to reach the same goals that maybe could also merge into the Grid Elements project. It's the TemplaVola Framework project. They have also great ideas and great user experience orientation. But I think both of the projects are going towards the same goal, so maybe we could also...
I don't know. The problem with the TemplaVola framework is that it's based on TemplaVola. So I don't know if it's that easy to do the same things without TemplaVola. Because the problem we currently got, if you activate grid elements, TemplaVola won't be working anymore.
Yeah.
So this is due to a feature of TemplaVola, actually, because there is a key, an array key that you can just set to make TemplaVola not work with its own hook functions, but use the core functions. And we have to use that to make sure that grid elements will not be blocked by TemplaVola when we are using the same hooks.
Without technical approach, there's ideas and concepts, and yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, there are other concepts as well. For example, the FedEx and Flux project.
Yeah, also very interesting. Yeah.
But I don't know if we will be able to activate Klaus currently because he's very pissed due to the stuff which happened in the community. He just kind of left and tried to do some separate rendering of fluid templates without typo 3, and he already succeeded in just 2 days.
Which is quite impressive, actually, yeah. I sent him a tweet some hours ago telling him that I want him in the next event to...
I really would like to get him in because he was one of the guys I had on my list for the team I would like to see during the sprint.
Great programmers, apparently. Well, thank you very much.
So you said this is one of the guys I want to see in the team for the code sprint. So who decides who's in? is it up to you, or?
Yeah, of course it's a business decision in a way. So we have to try to find out who fits the team best, who is the right guy or the right girl for the job, and who makes the best offer. Because we have a limited amount of money, and I already told the people in our Forge, I have a task issue where you can just read all this stuff. I told the developers who might apply for the job that they should keep in mind that usually code sprints are not paid at all, and they get the chance to get at least some money, and maybe they can just arrange their offers according to this approach. But they don't have to. So we will find out if there will be any developers at all, because currently I have no offers. I don't know if there will be anybody coming to this code sprint, so this is our risk. Maybe we have to give the money back if there's nobody coming, or maybe we have to do all the work on our own. We will see what happens. So this is just to spread the word, even to the developers who might come. If there's anybody joining the team and doing a good job, he will get a good money for that.
So are you planning to do the code from the scratch new, or are you planning to just use the current code base of Grid Elements?
In a way, both. We have to do it from scratch because we want to be compatible to the 6.0 or 6.1 core. We want to introduce unit tests. We want to introduce other stuff. So we have to refactor the things. But there are already methods that we can just implement as is, so they don't have to change that much. But I think we will start with a completely new code structure, new folder structure, and completely different approach so that we will match the way the core team works, so that more core developers will like the code in the end. Any other questions? Okay, cool. So support Grid Elements. Here are the links to the projects, the Forge project and the Start Next project. I would really like to see some of you just join the team, or maybe just sponsor some of the coders. Just one last thing. It is even possible to send a coder from your company, but in this case, we have to do a workaround because Start Next is not able to calculate the monetary value of that into their sum. So when you want to send a coder, and you say, for example, it is worth 5,000 euros, you have to pay these 5,000 euros, you send the coder, and you get the money back. This is the only way that we can reach the goal of the 30,000 euros to just get the money. And otherwise, there might be some companies sending coders just preventing us reaching the goal. This is what we don't want to do. So thanks for listening, and join us.